Power struggle between the city and the state is now hitting the city's pocketbook.
Jennifer Crockett explains why that cost the city $100 million today.
New Orleans Mayor Helena Moreno and Governor Jeff Landry trading punches in public letters Thursday after Moreno pulled that $100 million loan approval back from the State Bond Commission. Governor Jeff Landry wrote to the mayor saying, quote, "The city's ongoing inability to meet basic cash flow requirements is unacceptable and raises serious concerns about management and transparency." Moreno writing back, quote, "The city's finances did not arrive at this point overnight, and they will not be restored overnight." It's the latest back and forth between the state and New Orleans after a series of escalations, from eliminating the Orleans Clerk of Criminal Court to reducing Orleans judge seats, and then an Orleans grand jury indicting Attorney General Liz Murrill, an indictment the state Supreme Court has paused for now. But Moreno adds there's talk the state legislature could be looking for other ways to retaliate against New Orleans, writing in part, quote, "Any state leader seeking to defund New Orleans, to punish, weaken, or destroy it must face the harsh truth and consequences that, ultimately, doing so is self-harm to Louisiana."
They're going to have to work out a mutual way forward. They're still going to have differences, but she's going to have to just stress to them that basically, as the city of New Orleans goes, the state of Louisiana goes.
For now, the city is launching reviews of all city-owned properties for potential leases or sales. It's limiting spending on contracts and preserving current revenue for crime fighting and city services. The city also says a recently approved $100 million loan on future Caesars casino rents is already in the bank and earning interest. But Mayor Moreno has said she does not want to dip into its dwindling emergency savings.
You cannot cripple the city of New Orleans for political reasons or because for revenge or for any sort of, interpersonal relationship problems, because doing so hurts all of the citizens of the state of Louisiana, because it hurts the city's ability to bring in revenue, which is then shared with the entire state.
In her response to the governor, Moreno offers to go through the city's budget with him line by line, suggesting that's a better way to solve the city's financial problems than battling it out in public.
The political analyst you heard from there, Dr. Robert Collins, also points out that the state needs money New Orleans generates too. According to Louisiana's Department of Culture, Recreation and Tourism's most recent spending report, New Orleans generated $467 million in direct state taxes in 2023. The next highest was Baton Rouge, but they brought in just 1/4 of that amount.